All right, we are live. Uh, yeah, sorry. Today with me is Paul. Yusuf is not here. I didn't mean to mislabel the Hangout or anything like that. We were supposed to have Yusuf on, but apparently he's not available, even though he said that he would be. So maybe we'll have that discussion later. We'll just have to see. So what Paul and I are going to do today is pretty much just go through some kind of funny videos and comment on them for a little bit.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Hold on. For some reason, you're not getting pipe. Not getting. Say something again.
Yeah. Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
Oh yeah. Sorry, it just for some reason it's not piping out to the actual desktop sound, but it is piping out. So what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna be watching some videos for a little bit, and we're gonna have some fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So this first one is by was it Kevin on stage, I believe. So let's go ahead and listen to this.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Kev on stage, and one of you suggested I do a tutorial for I Am Determined because the video is so popular. If you don't know what I Am Determined is, here's a look. I've been blinded by my teardrops. When I won't let my troubles get me down. All the time now I'm more.
Okay, it's supposed to be moving pictures, not a still picture.
Yeah. Okay.
Determined. I said I am.
What's that?
It already sounds crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, it's supposed to play, but apparently.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Kev on stage, and one of you suggested I do a tutorial for I Am Determined because the video is so popular. If you don't know what I Am Determined is, here's a look. I've been blinded by my teardrops. When I won't let my troubles get me down. All the time now I'm more determined. I said I am more determined. Tonight I'm more determined. I said tonight I'm more determined. Well, tonight I'm more determined as I've ever been to make it. I won't let anything or anybody stop me now. And if you want to know how to play it, I'm going to show you now. So the key to playing I Am Determined is knowing which key the song is in. The song is in every key. All of them. C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, A flat, B, B flat, B, and C, all at the same time. So the first chord you're going to play is a B flat major 7 plus A flat major 7 C major. That goes like this. Okay, so you just want to place your hands all over the keyboard. Okay, the second chord is this. That's a B flat minor 7 minus 6. The third chord is this. That's an E flat, E natural, F sharp, major, major. The fourth chord is this. That's a B knuckle 7. The fifth chord is a tough one. Okay, it's this, C minus. Okay, so if you remember the first chord, second chord, third chord, fourth, fifth. Okay, the next thing you have to remember is the tempo. Okay, so in slow motion it's this. Okay, but at the speed it's this. Okay, you're not really doing anything, you just have to make it look like you're doing something. Jazz it up, you can move up and down the keyboard. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that you have the
This
bass,
guy's taking the piss, right? Yeah.
Oh yes, he is definitely. What somebody expressed it to me was actually Gallus and Dixie. I don't know if you know his Patheos blog, but he actually he said that it was musical speaking in tongues. So
Oh.
basically, and yeah, there's a problem with my broadcasting software to where people were just pretty much staring at a still screen for a moment. So I think I need to get rid of some of these windows. But let me work on that. But what do you what do you think about that nonsense?
Well, that was just, well, I play guitar, so I'm like into music and stuff. That just seemed like bullshit to me.
Yeah. Well, I thought that it was a pretty good indication of how some religious people both preach and how the whole speaking in tongues thing. I thought that was kind of interesting.
That was what we would call it the English bollocks.
Bollocks. Yeah. Okay. Um. Okay.
Liberals,
Can you talk?
want to take away my first.
Sorry. What?
I was just going to ask you to talk a little bit about the Duggars thing because I haven't really heard much about that, apart from what you and Lucy and other people have said.
Okay.
I know there's been like molestation shit going on.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff about that. As far as the Duggars go, what has happened with the Duggars is that apparently Josh, he molested four of his sisters and then a babysitter. And now the parents didn't do anything about it until he actually molested the babysitter that was there. And so yeah, and
God.
so it's like to me that says to me that he does not care enough about his own daughters to stop the stuff from happening in the house. You know, doesn't care enough about them to stop it when it's happening, but when the possibility of it like coming out, because he molested somebody outside of the family, he's like, well, we got to get you some help now.
Yeah.
And
So I mean, who are these people? I mean, from what I understand here in the UK, they're like reality TV show people or something. Is that right?
yeah, I'm glad you didn't call them celebrities.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had their own reality TV show. It's since been canceled. But basically, it was their adventure through having 19 kids. And if you can imagine 19,
19.
19 kids, if you can imagine having 19 kids, yes.
Wow, that's crazy. Were they like Catholics?
Oh no, they're worse than Catholics. It's the Quiverful movement is what it is. Um, and with the Quiverful movement, I've actually got a video that's going to be coming out on this discussing it. But basically, with the Quiverful movement, they allow God to dictate their family, and like it's patriarchy in the purest sense of the word. They they pretty much don't employ any kind of birth control. Like, Catholics, they'll do the abstinence thing. They'll say that abstinence is the only kind of birth control that you can really do that's
Yeah.
effective. But these people are like, no, it's a sin to even abstain from sex if you're married. So yeah, they're pretty
Extreme.
they're pretty extreme. They're fundamentalists and they employ the Christian faith in a very extreme way. A lot of them are characterized as radically pro-life, and so like another that's not the only tenet that they have though. Another tenet that they have is that this idea of modesty. In their whole movement thing, they pretty much blame the women for lustful thoughts being caused in a man's head.
Seriously?
Oh yes. Um, so, um, So yeah, it's pretty horrible in my opinion. I think anybody's opinion it would be horrible, but like, I mean, so some of them go as far as to dress, with head coverings, kind of like what Muslim women do, in order
Yeah.
to, retain their whatever. But yeah, so I mean, it's a pretty extremist kind of Christian fundamentalist.
Yeah, it sounds fucked up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and like they strive to be independent financially from the government. So like a lot of times they end up in horrible living conditions and everything like that.
Okay. That's pretty bad. Like
Well, yeah, and
we
I
don't
mean,
we don't have this kind of shit in the UK. I mean, we have kind of like a few crazy religious people, but they really are on the fringe of our society. I mean, you guys in America do crazy like no one else.
yeah, only in America.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, it's they get pretty insane out here. So, um, but let's see, is there anything else that you're curious? I mean, I've been reading up a lot about them. So, I mean, if you got any questions, I'm happy to answer them about the Duggars. Oh crap!
You broke up a lot.
Oh,
That's,
did I? Yeah, for some reason my internet's going up and down, kind of like at the conference. Um, can you hear? I should be okay now, shouldn't I?
yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just asking if you had any other questions about the Duggars. Uh,
Um, I think the less I know about those guys, the better.
yeah. All right. Well, let's look at this video. This is a video that was taken down almost immediately by Joshua Fierstein. I don't. Do you know about Joshua Fierstein?
Yeah, I've seen one or two videos about this guy. He's kind of nuts, isn't he?
Yes, he is very much so. So with this guy, he's a televangelist basically. He's an internet pastor, and he put up this video in response to like somebody taking away his free speech or something. But it's not really taking away his free speech, so I don't. There's like no reason for this to be up, but he does it in a very unique way. So hopefully this one doesn't freeze up on you. But
Okay.
yeah, here you go.
Liberals, you want to take away my First Amendment right to freedom of speech? Well, guess what? My First Amendment right is protected by my Second Amendment right. So come and get it. Click share if you agree.
Oh my God.
Do you see his face? He's like all happy because he's got like an assault rifle in his hand.
Yeah.
This is the
Oh my
kind
God,
of
that
yeah.
guy's nuts.
Yeah, this is the kind of crazy that we deal with out here in the States. I mean, because this is like typical American. I mean, he's following because I don't know if you remember, but there was this one girl a while back that was she posed with a gun and a Bible. And like it was in like a lot of people wanted her to do it because she posed with a Chick-fil-A cup and said this will make a liberal's mind explode. And it was like a Chick-fil-A cup with a conservative shirt on in front of Hobby Lobby. And it's like this will make a liberal's brain explode or something. And so then she poses with the gun, and the gun, the Bible behind the American flag, and then somebody else finds a Muslim extremist woman who's got a gun, Quran, standing in front of the Iranian flag, and it's like, what's the difference?
Yeah, exactly.
But in this video, he's basically saying, hey, if you want to tell me to stop saying something, then I'm gonna kill you. I mean, I get free speech, and like they can. What's the American saying? They can have my gun when they pry it from my cold dead hands.
Yeah.
But I think that he's honestly this guy is just a rich white boy that his parents have money and he's just been a sheltered guy his entire life.
What makes what I find ironic about a lot of Christians is like they can be the most unchristian people in the world. That kind of makes me smile.
We all
You
know
know.
that Colorado.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm just getting the next one ready, so.
Okay.
Oh, well, you were saying that it just makes you smile?
Yeah, what I was saying was that I find it ironic that Christians can be the most unchristian people in the world. And that kind of irony makes me smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, I can't hear you at the moment. I don't know if you can hear me, John. I can't hear you.
Test, test. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome. Crap. I'm really sorry about all these technical issues.
It's okay.
Yeah, my
Shit
computer-
happens.
Yeah, exactly. This video. Okay, so this is another dose of crazy from over here. Okay.
Okay.
Which hopefully you can still hear it. We're gonna watch this guy. His name is Klingenschmidt. Okay. He's been elected to an actual position in our government in one of our states, Colorado, and he is verifiably crazy. So,
Is he a Republican?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
All right. Hopefully the sound's still
Colorado did legalize recreational marijuana in 2013. The first shops opened at the beginning of 2014, and also Washington State and Alaska have subsequently voted to legalize some use of that drug. Other measures are going to be on the ballot in other states coming soon. Well, that's the news. Our thanks to Fox News for that inspiring report. Let's take a moment and discern the spirits. There is a spirit of drunkenness that is inside some people. Now, you see, I'm not saying the plant is demonic. It's just a plant. I'm not saying the people are demons. They're just people. But in this news story, you see the interaction of the people interacting with the plant and inviting this other thing to come into them. What is this other thing that they voluntarily choose to contract with? It's a demonic spirit of drunkenness. It's not sobriety. It's not holiness. It's not the Holy Spirit. When you begin hallucinating, I'm told, and you begin seeing these images, do you think that's coming from the Spirit of God? No. You're having apparitions, and you are seeing and interacting with and welcoming to rule your heart a demonic spirit of drunkenness. It's not recreational. It's evil. And the Bible says this in 1 Peter 5. This is what the Holy Spirit would say. Be alert and of a sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Do you really want to be devoured by the devil?
Yeah, and you, it's kind of crazy that you guys have people like that on your TV. That's nuts.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. What is that dynamic like? Because I know that I asked Pippa Evans at the conference, but I mean, what for you? What is that dynamic like? Seeing, with your experience in the UK and religion, and seeing it over here, like how vast of a difference is that?
It's chalk and cheese. I mean, you guys have like an obsession, like a sadomasochistic obsession with religion, and it kind of distorts your politics and your society. Over here in the UK and in most of Europe, religion is banal, and the majority of people kind of ridicule it and don't take it seriously. It really is night and day. I mean, I don't understand how a country like America, which has the separation of church and state as part of its foundational constitution, can be so religious.
Now, hold on, Paul. Hold on, okay? You have to understand, okay? It's not a separation of church and state. It's a separation of state, and then the church just gets free reign of everything. And only Christianity gets like free reign. Not any other religion or non-faith. No, it's just Christianity, and that's what the founders meant. Even
Okay, but in your constitution, am I right in saying God is mentioned? Yeah, there is a wall of separation between church and state. Yeah?
well, no, yeah, I was being facetious.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, no, the First Amendment, it builds that wall. It says that, government can't make a law respecting religion, but it also can't promote or prevent the free exercise thereof. But you see,
Okay.
when religious people read it and try to understand it, it's like they only hear one side of the argument. They hear government can't stop you from exercising your religion. And so they think that means that they're allowed to do certain things that they're just simply not allowed to do, like put up religious stuff on public grounds, like on courthouses. There's if you can't put a Christian manger scene up at a courthouse. If you do, you have to allow other religions to put it up too. That means Satanists have been, really driving it home with pointing this out to them by requesting to do it, And so it's really amazing the amount of confirmation bias that these people will go through in order to get their way.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I just find it kind of crazy that such a secular republic as America is kind of like so religious in its society. When you look at Europe and all of the European countries, and we're not as secular as you because we don't have the same constitution that you guys have. We tend to have religious heads of state and things like this, and yet our societies are less religious than yours. And I just find that kind of weird, I don't know if you can see that from where you are in the United States, but it's strange to us in the UK.
Believe me, it's strange to me too. I mean, especially if you come at it from like if you try to come at it from a really non-biased position, like as non-biased as a person can get. If you try to get, if you try to come at it from there, it's very odd to see these people argue for the things that they're arguing for, because oftentimes they just don't make sense at all. They're trying to push for these things, and they're saying that America was founded on this idea of freedom, but yet their freedom this idea of freedom that they have only concerns Christians, and only allows Christians to be free.
Yeah.
And they always like to spout off about like traditional marriage. Traditional marriage was a concept that was formed like in the late 19th century and early 20th century. As soon as it started forming, it started to collapse in on itself too.
Well, here's something that I'd like to talk about briefly.
Okay.
In Europe and in the UK at the moment, we have kind of a growing problem with fundamentalist Islam. It's kind of like creeping into our society and trying to gain special pleading, if you like, special laws to protect itself, and these can be bigoted towards the rest of society. And in our political correctness society, our politicians are bending over backwards to kind of accommodate these people. Now, I know in the United States, it's not quite as big a problem, but it must be a growing problem over there. And just wondering how you see that and how you think it's going to be a problem in the future for yourself.
Well, I honestly don't see a lot of the Islamic push here in America. I know that it does exist, that there are people out there that are pushing for it, but it's not to the point of Christians that are here. It's kind of like over in the UK, I feel like, Islam is a very big concern, where over here, we're still battling with Christianity. So I think that as soon as we get Christianity under control, kind of, I mean, we're still going to face this Islamic threat, but crap, my sound recording.
Yeah, your sound.
There we go. Okay, it came back.
Okay. So Islam's not a big deal in the United States right now, is what you're saying, yeah?
Well, it's not. In my opinion, it's not as prevalent as Christianity, but we are seeing. We do have a lot of concerns. Like, ISIS is one of the bigger concerns. And it's because of their use of social media, they've been able to persuade some of these more impressionable Americans to join their cause, to leave America and, turn against them and whatnot. And, so, I mean, it's not so much, I guess it really is just kind of a different way that they're going about it, because it's more the fundamentalist groups here that are pushing for it, and we don't see so much of the moderate Muslims that are pushing for the same things that, the fundamentalist Muslims are pushing for. Now, I could be wrong. There's probably people in the chat saying, no, there's this guy and that guy. But, the stuff that I have seen has either been from the UK, from Europe in general, or it's been ISIS related, where they've been contacting people here in the United States. And I know that the whole ISIS threat is a very big issue right now. For the United States. For everywhere too, but
everywhere, yeah.
But as far as like our perception, or at least my perception of the Islamic problem or whatnot, would be ISIS. And a lot of people want to say that ISIS isn't indicative of Islam, like those are radical fundamentalists. They're not Islamic. But that's really kind of bullcrap, because all they're doing is employing an existing dogma in a fundamentalist way that's still Islamic. And it's not Islamophobic to say that. a lot of people want to say, like here in America, I don't know about over in UK, but here in America, we actually do have some, I guess, Muslimophobia or Islamophobia, but that's where people are irrationally afraid of Muslims that are just trying to, exercise their right to free religion here. Just like Christians, are wanting to exercise their right to their religion here. And I mean, there are, just like there are Christians that don't push their religion on people, there are Muslims that don't push religion on people, and a lot of people don't see that line. And I don't know, do you see the same thing over in the UK, like the Muslims that don't try to push their stuff on other people, or is it pretty much a one-dimensional kind of thing over there?
Well, it's a complex issue. I mean, I would talk about Islam in the UK. If you talk about moderate Islam, okay, then even that can be detrimental to Western values. They have things like Sharia law courts here in the UK where they kind of work alongside the British justice system, but they're kind of like abhorrent. They subjugate women and other minorities, and that's moderate Islam, as I see it, living here in the UK. I just think Islam is kind of like a really big threat to Western ideologies, Western culture, Western society. It's kind of like how Christianity was like 600 years ago when Christians have gone on the Crusades and been crazy and nuts. Islam's kind of going through that phase now. So that's kind of how I see that.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I will be the first one to say that if you take both Christianity and Islam at the core of the dogma, they're both very violent religions. And, if you, just because you don't employ it in a violent way, doesn't mean that you can't employ it in a violent way, and it doesn't mean that it's not a violent religion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If anything, I would say that Islam is probably a lot more violent in that it like you can go to Skeptics Annotated Quran, and like they have a whole section on just violence, and it's like 600 or something verses long, where they just pull out every violent thing that it tells you to do in it. And it's crazy, like how violent it gets, like how much it reiterates that, unbelievers will burn in the lake of fire, or they will burn, or fire is their future, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've heard people talk about Osama bin Laden and his view on the Quran and Islam, and a lot of people say, I've heard Sam Harris say this, that Osama bin Laden's view and interpretation of the Quran was probably the most accurate and literal and true to the word of the Quran that there is. And even though we view Osama bin Laden as a maniac and a terrorist and all the rest of it, his interpretation of the Quran was actually probably the most accurate of any Muslim. And I mean, that's what's scary about religion, when you take it to its literal level, and then you employ that in the real world through your actions based on your beliefs, it becomes terrifying,
Yeah, and a lot of people in both the Islamic religion and Christianity, they like to spout this idea that it's objective, that it's an unchanging doctrine or whatnot, when in actuality it does change significantly throughout time. Now, these fundamentalists that we see now, they're the ones that have an unchanged religion since way back when. They're the ones that are employing the religion of the founding fathers, basically, of around that time, 1700s or so. I mean, they're really the ones that are employing it in that fashion. And just because we have new issues come up, instead of changing with society as these new issues come up, they have stayed steadfast with how it is. Because, now on the one hand, I think a pretty good indication of what America would be like if it was actually run by, as a theocracy. It would be a lot like Iran in the Middle East right now, where ISIS is pretty prominent, right? Iraq and Syria. I'm not sure if they've made it into Iran yet, but I know that they're Islamic. They're an Islamic theocracy. But anyways, over here we just have preachers that are standing up saying like the government needs to kill homosexuals, right? They're saying these things, they're getting on the news, they're getting a lot of coverage and whatnot. But the fact is that they're only allowed to say it and want to do it, but they're not able to actually go out and do it. Now, where the difference lies is that over in the Middle East, they actually just go out and do it, and they're completely justified in it because they're run by their religion. And if we were run by the Christian religion, we could kill homosexuals just out in the open, just as an execution. I mean, they would probably go to San Francisco and clean up and anywhere else in the United States, basically, and it's really sad that people want to go to those levels, because people are so different than them, and it scares them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, theocracies are definitely the worst form of societal government that's ever been devised by mankind. I mean, it's just to base a society on a theocratic ideology. It's just so bad, and none of them have ever worked, and none of them ever will work. Democracy is the only way forward, and people like ISIS and all these other crazy guys out there, their ideology will never win. We'll defeat them.
Well, hopefully they won't win. I mean, I know me personally, I usually try to work hard to point out the hypocrisy and stuff because, today there was a story where somebody was, had put on their church sign that, gay scout leaders are like, and then it showed a fox preying on a little chick, right? And it's really funny to me that a church would put that up because they're sitting there criticizing like homosexual Boy Scout leaders. But at the same time, the church, it doesn't matter the denomination. All of them are just run rampant with pedophilia and sexual abuse. And it just, if you take the number of possible homosexual scout leaders that are also pedophiles, because they're two separate things, if you take the number possible for that, it doesn't even come to maybe even less than a quarter of a percent, compared to the church's actions against children. And, all of that really stems from this idea that homosexuality and pedophilia are the same thing. And it's not at all. Just because there are some pedophiles that abuse the same gender. And it's ridiculous.
Why do you think it is that religion, and it's all, especially the Abrahamic religions, why do you think it is that they're so obsessed with sex? I mean, what the hell is going on there? Yeah? They're obsessed with who we have sex with, what positions we have sex in. I mean, it's masturbation. I mean, what the hell is going on there with sex? I don't get this.
Well, yeah. I don't really know why they're so concerned with it. I mean, I know why they're concerned with it now, and that's because it's in the book. But and really, that's pretty much any reason for anything that a religious person does. They just generally point to the Bible. But now, as far as what they originally had, the reasons why they had for it, maybe it was like population control. Maybe it was a way, just another control method. Because I mean, if you can control, how and when they have sex, basically, I mean, that's just another level of control. That's a really interesting subject that I think needs to be looked into a little bit more. Why were they so concerned with sex back then? I mean, as far as the marriage aspect goes, maybe it could be that, because if you think about marriage, the past associated with marriage is that, boys and girls were married off in order to develop stronger bonds, right? And so you had to keep like the bloodlines pure and all this other stuff. So maybe it's really stems from them wanting to control who has sex with who and who reproduces with who in order to build these, stronger bonds or whatnot. But I mean that you come to find out that just doesn't even make any kind of deal. Like, it doesn't make a difference because people are going to do what they want to do, and all, with the stuff built into the Bible, all you have to do is ask for forgiveness and you wipe your own slate clean. And so it's just like, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's probably why the Catholic Church was so against Protestantism, is because Protestantism is where that really kind of came out, being able to ask for forgiveness yourself, and so with people leaving the Catholic faith, that's why the Catholics were persecuting their own, they were persecuting Christians just because they didn't employ the same religion in the same way.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I just think, I don't know. I mean, talking about the Catholic Church in particular, I just find them so abhorrent as they're going to like a continent like Africa, and they're preaching today as we speak that condoms are worse than AIDS. And I mean, why are they so obsessed with contraception? And I mean, it to me it seems obvious. It's because if you don't have contraception and you have more Catholics in your flock, then more Catholics are going to make more Catholics, and your religion is going to grow. And I don't know if you agree with that. That's how I see it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I think that kind of plays into population control.
Yeah.
People wanting to control who's in the church, who believes what, because I mean, the church was very powerful, and I mean, it was pretty much the government, for a long time, and so I mean, it would make sense if they wanted to control the population, control their numbers, and make sure that there's a stable population of people in the faith. Because I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
if you think about it, if they don't have anybody that's in the faith, then what kind of power and control do they have?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Maybe let's do one or two more videos. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay, so try to keep your head about you on this one, okay? Because it's pretty, it's in my opinion, it's pretty bad. But I'll let you decide.
Okay.
Is he? Stronger, gods you are higher than other. Our God is healer, awesome in power.
Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is, of course, childhood indoctrination. What do you think about that, Paul? Childhood indoctrination like that.
Well, I personally view that as child abuse, to be honest. I think that if you're going to raise children, you should raise them to think for themselves. You should indoctrinate them. You should push atheism or religion. Let them find out for themselves. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I am too. And, we kind of try to prevent really talking about it with Xander. We ask him occasionally, like, hey, do you want to know about this? Or if somebody says something, we'll usually try to talk to him a little bit about it. But in general, I think it's usually best to try to allow children to be, to do things on their own, basically.
Think for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as all that goes, and I think, like, I know right now, Xander's pretty much just like, I'm not old enough to be concerned about that. We've told him that before, and he's pretty complacent with not having to deal with that right now, because I mean, he's a kid, he's 5 years old, he doesn't need to worry about that.
I mean, my sister just given birth to her first child, and we spoke about him, and she's told me that she's going to answer any questions that he has about religion and things like that, but she's not going to push him in any particular direction. She's going to let him find out for himself. And I think if you do that with your kids, then your kids will find the truth, and the truth is always going to be an atheistic worldview, because that's what the evidence supports. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, and my own little saying as I go out on videos is think skeptically, stay godless, and there's been a number of people that have questioned me about that, and what it really means is that if you think skeptically, you'll stay godless. A correct application of skepticism is always going to lead you to atheism, basically, or just not believing in a god, because I mean, any rational, skeptically thinking person isn't going to come to the conclusion that a God exists, given the information that we have now.
Yeah. I don't understand why people would question you about saying think skeptically, stay godless. I mean, okay, maybe stay godless is a point of contention, but if you're going to be a rational person who follows logic and who's a critical thinker, then thinking skeptically is kind of essential to being a reasonable human being. I mean, that seems to be a given to me. I don't know why anyone would ever question that. And it's one of the things that pisses me off the most. I mean, I had a conversation with a guy who I volunteer with. He's a Christian, and he's kind of a moron. I don't know, but he is. And I backed him into a corner. We talked about his faith, and I got him all the way down to the point where he just said, okay, I don't care what you say, I've got faith. And I was like, well, you do realize that faith is a vice, not a virtue. Yeah. And he just said, I don't care, I've got faith. And I just had to walk away. And he walked away really smug, thinking that he'd won. But I walked away really frustrated, because I just thought, I mean, I can't get through with this guy,
Yeah. No, I generally have to do that if ever I encounter somebody that obviously isn't going to change their mind, and it's like, okay, well, you're spouting this kind of nonsense, and I just can't get to you if you're going to think like that. There's nothing that I can say that is going to change your mind. So why even have the discussion? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I find it funny when these people act like I'm not being the one that's open-minded or whatnot, or really just because I don't agree with their side, all of a sudden I'm not opening myself to alternative, possibilities. It's like, no, I am open to alternative possibilities. It's just that I'm not just going to blatantly accept a possibility just because you say it is possible. I'm going to think critically about it, and it's like people don't expect you to do that.
Yeah, I don't understand people who don't appreciate the value of evidence. All of my beliefs are based on evidence. If I don't have evidence for something, then I don't believe it. And that's my real point of contention with religious people is that they can believe anything without evidence, and I just don't get that. It really pisses me off. What can you do? What can you do? I mean, if they want to believe that because it makes them feel good and it gives them comfort at night when they go to sleep, yeah, whatever. But I mean, they shouldn't be taken seriously by any rational thinker.
Yeah. Dinner is ready for me, and I think that we've been up for about an hour now. So I think that we're going to go ahead and kind of wrap it up. Paul here, for those of you that don't know, is one of my very esteemed patrons. He's helping me out with the channel and everything like that. He's helping me make it better by being a patron and really supplying a lot of good feedback for me. So, if you would like one of these one-on-one kind of hangouts, consider being a patron. I know I think Paul's only on there for like 10, but I forget what I set the goal at or whatnot. But Paul, I really appreciate you helping me out and everything like that. I mean, your help has been very much appreciated.
Yeah, John. I mean, I wouldn't do this if I didn't think you were a great guy. I really appreciate what you do, and it's really something that I want to keep supporting you with.
Oh, nice. I really appreciate that, because I got to say, I'm really embarrassed by how frenzied I was getting this all set up and whatnot, but I was really kind of hoping to have Yusuf on, and I felt like I was waiting until the last minute in order to try to get him, but oh well. If I end up trying to get him back on, I think I'm going to try to have you on as well, so I'll try to work that out with you, because, yeah, I think that would be really awesome having you on there with me to kind of talk with him and whatnot. I know he said he had a few questions for me, which I was like, okay, that's fine. But, it's like he messages me and then he doesn't get back to me for a week. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
So.
Well, maybe he doesn't have any good arguments.
Yeah.
Have to wait and see.
Yeah, so I appreciate everybody that stuck around for this. I'm going to try to stream a game later tonight. I'm wanting to play some Batman, so I'm going to try to do that. So be on a watch out on the channel for it. And I'll be sure to send you a message there, Paul, over Steam, see if you're awake. And because I know it's pretty late for you now. But anyways, I hope I'll see you in a little bit there, Paul, and I guess I'll see anybody else that comes around to watch me die at Batman.
Yeah, thanks, John. I really appreciated you spending your time with me. It was fun, and I'll join you for the game stream later.
All right, awesome, Paul. And I guess I'll see everybody later, and everybody have a nice night.